Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Good afternoon to you. Appreciate you guys for being on here with me. I know this is an early show, but with the way schedule is lined up, gotta knock out an early one every now and again. You know what I'm saying? So I thank you guys for being here with me. Everybody that's on Sportscast, everybody that's on YouTube, I appreciate you guys and I appreciate the time. And of course, halfway through the show, I'll be moving on over to Sportscaster. So join me at Sportscaster when you get a chance. Well, not when you get a chance, as soon as this is over. Got a few things to talk about. You know, we talked about some of these things a little bit earlier on some other shows, but we're going to tackle it. I do have something else we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about Alex Klein, who was hired by the New York Knicks. We'll talk about him. Get to him, you know, somewhere towards the end of the show. I'll be on for about an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. I do have a meeting at 2:30, so you know, I can't be too long. The first thing I'm going to talk about, and you guys know, listen, we've talked about it plenty of times. We'll talk about Carmelo Anthony. Because Ian Begley believes that Carmelo Anthony is a very legitimate possibility for the New York Knicks this summer. There were conversations about Carmelo Anthony coming back to the New York Knicks last summer if the Knicks were to get Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Carmelo Anthony would have came in kind of as that third piece, I guess. But Ian Begley seems to believe that because Leon Rose is the president of the New York Knicks, that Carmelo Anthony is a legitimate possibility. I don't know. Anyway, let's take a listen to Ian Begley. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. The phone line is going to be open so you can give me a call and let me know what you think about it. It's Ian Begley.
I have a mailbag question here from @DouglasDJB22 who asks, are there any known potential Knicks free agent targets? Now, when you talk about the Knicks and free agency, nobody really knows where the cap is going to end up for this summer because of the decrease in revenue following the coronavirus crisis. Also with the Knicks, we don't know what they're going to decide about their players who have options for next season. That affects how much cap space they have. We also don't know if they're going to choose to use that cap space to take on a player with a big salary. But let's just say they have significant cap space to spend this summer. I do know that people in the front office, some people before Leon Rose got here, were enamored with Detroit's Christian Wood, so I think you could put him on the list. And then just an educated guess here with Carmelo Anthony. You know, this is not based on anything I've heard recently, but more so based on what was going on last summer. I think there's a pretty good chance, a decent chance, that Carmelo and the Knicks have talks at least about a reunion this summer, because last year, before free agency, people with the Knicks had strongly considered the idea of signing Anthony as a free agent if they were going to land top free agents like Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant. If they were going to get two top free agents, there was strong consideration about signing Carmelo Anthony. Now, at that time, Anthony's agent was Leon Rose, who is now the Knicks president. That's why I think, I'm just a guess here, that there's going to be a pretty good chance that Anthony and the Knicks have serious conversations about Anthony coming back to New York. So I think he's a name you can also put on your list for potential Knicks targets in free agency.
All right. So there you go. You heard it from Ian Begley. And Ian Begley, for me, is probably the most trusted source for me in the NBA as it pertains to the New York Knicks. You know, he's just, he's there. He's been there for a while, and he's, kind of in the know. Now, obviously, he didn't say that this was a done deal. He just said he believes that it is a possibility. Looking at the state of the New York Knicks, I really wouldn't understand it if they need to get a stretch four, because, that's assuming that's what they would think Carmelo Anthony is right now. If they need to get a stretch four, you would think that they would look at somebody who was younger and is not going to listen. If Carmelo Anthony comes here, in his mind, he's going to feel like he's the best player on the team. And, he might come off the bench in Portland, behind a Damian. Oh, actually, he didn't even come off the bench in Portland. He may come off the bench on another team where there's more established players. It's hard for me to see it happening with the Knicks. This is not the place for Carmelo Anthony. Other other veterans who have, been used to playing a role in their career make more sense with the New York Knicks than a star that's used to being a star who still, may feel like he's supposed to be a starter. Portland might end up just being the best spot for him for the next couple of years or until he retires. I don't know. Although Carmelo Anthony is one of my favorite players, I just don't see where's the good fit with the New York Knicks right now. But I do believe before Carmelo Anthony's career is over, he's going to end up in a Knicks uniform. I do believe that's going to happen, whether it's he plays for a year and then goes on to retire, or he ends up, signing a one-day deal or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. But, that's not, it just doesn't make sense right now. Honestly. Just doesn't make sense. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Leon Rose thinks it makes sense. I don't think so. I think it's more just because Leon Rose used to be Carmelo Anthony's agent, while the talks are out there. But like I said, I trust Ian Begley. He's a trusted source, for me at least. We'll see what happens there. Guillermo, what's going on, man?
Yo, it's good, Sim. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm good.
I think these writers are bored, bro. Because it's like you hear all these reports and the whole Melo Leon Rose thing. Now, obviously, it could happen. It could be a connection. I'm not sure. I do think Leon Rose is a guy who wants to bring some names. But I'm not sure if Melo's the type of guy, because even if you look at Leon Rose's hires, right? He hired, I always forget these damn names, Panin and however it goes. He hired those two guys, and he hired the stud scout that you're going to bring up, the 26-year-old kid. So it seems like I think that he wants to try to build up somewhat of an organic foundation to the Knicks, which kind of goes contra to what I thought about before. Now, obviously, I guess be right or wrong based off which, expectation. But, I just, the whole Melo thing again, you mentioned a stretch four aspect. I'm pretty sure that some other guys, and we mentioned it on the other video when we were talking about free agents, that he could get, where you're not bringing in a guy where, again, Carmelo Anthony, he's like the backup quarterback on any team. He's usually the most popular guy. So say the Knicks are losing, right? You might have it where but there's a plan in place, right? We have a coach who's trying to implement something, but you're going through that rough patch where guys are trying to get the system. Now the audience might come in, or the crowd might be, put Melo in and put extra pressure. And now people are writing about it. And now you can have a situation where you're giving, I won't say unearned, but useless minutes to a player who's going to give you useless production versus, if you believe in Knox, you're trying to slowly build along Knox, and maybe Knox is going to hit that trajectory where he's finally developing, but he just needs more time. You know what I mean? So you don't want that added pressure, bringing that guy that used to be here, and he might be messing up whatever plans you have for the team. So in my eyes, I think that, again, writers are just, look, nothing's going on in basketball. You just need something to kind of get clicks and views. But I feel 30% or 70% sure that this is not going to happen.
Yeah, I think it was a mailbag question. Somebody asked him in a mailbag question whether or not he thinks that Carmelo Anthony would come back to the New York Knicks, or the Knicks would have interest in Carmelo Anthony, and he thinks it's a possibility. I don't know. I just don't see where it would make sense. And if you're trying to build the team correctly, this would not be the time for Carmelo Anthony. If you're going to bring in veterans, you're going to bring in veterans that are used to, very used to playing a role and playing whatever role is necessary. You know what I mean? That's probably the smartest thing to do if you're going to bring it in. So, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't think it makes sense, and I don't see it happening. But I guess we will wait and see. Speaking of free agency, I do want to touch on one thing, and this is not just the New York Knicks, but there are reports that players in the NBA who are up for contract extensions, they want to sign their max deals, or free agents, whoever. I didn't read the entire article. I just seen a piece of it. They want to sign their max deals before the season were to restart.
These free agent, the players who are up for extensions want to sign their max deals.
Or players who are free. Here, I'm gonna read it out to you. I'm gonna pull it up and read it out.
Okay.
But basically, these guys want to start. These guys want to sign their extensions. I'm sorry, not sign their extensions. These guys want to. Well, I guess it could be an extension. They want to sign their max deals before the NBA, before the season restarts, so that their deals are in place. Almost like when the Knicks were trying to trade for Carmelo Anthony and they were about to go into a lockout. He wanted to make sure that he didn't want to wait until free agency. He wanted to get traded so that he can get his extension so that it would be grandfathered into the new CBA.
Right. And the new CBA is not up for a while. So do you think that there's maybe some talk that this thing may not go through, and that there really might be a feeling that the NBA or the CBA might be what would be annulled, or whatever that little clause is that they can basically restructure CBA. Maybe that's gaining some steam then, because
that's what I think.
The CBA is not up until a few years from now, right? So that's the only thing. And again, those TV contracts, and these TV stations want to get back some of their money. So yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that there is some serious talks or something that something may happen somewhere along the line, with the CBA or with the money that the NBA will or will not generate with the restart. And so players are like, hey, I want to get my contract situation straight. Get my deal in place to make sure that my money is guaranteed. So that's definitely, that's a situation. That's another situation to watch for, man. This whole thing is just
it's weird because the whole Kyrie thing, now you're hearing that he never said it and he left the group chat, but he left that group chat. And I'm wondering again, because Kyrie Irving plays like 3D chess. I know I don't believe the whole flat earth stuff, but he's Machiavellian. He's not dumb, right? He's learned from Kobe Bryant, who's one of the smartest, even though you could look at the size, he's not. Kobe Bryant's one of the smartest. Like people said, he's sickeningly smart. I wonder if Kyrie Irving, if he purposely pushed out that type of stuff, even though he may not have a desire to create a league, he may push out that stuff just to scare them. Because now if you're talking about now these players want to get grandfathered in, there's definitely talks that something is happening behind the scenes regarding the CBA. Now, the only thing that makes me question that is that if that's the case, you would get more players like LeBron James. You would see LeBron James on Kyrie Irving's side, because let's be honest, forget about the whole you win a championship. LeBron James probably wants to play until his son gets to the league. So he wants to play for a few more years, and he would be in favor of protecting that money. He should be. I mean, he's making endorsements hand over fist, but still, you would think that he would want that money. He would be on the side of the player. So there's a lot. I don't know. I'm kind of confused because the CBA thing, it really sounds like it's a huge possibility. And also, remember, a lot of sports are coming back. The Premier League, is coming back today. Bundesliga soccer, NASCAR, golf. So if these TV deals are like, look, hey, we still want our money just to, make back on this. We're not using these other sports to subsidize you. But if you guys don't want to play, okay, you're going to come back with less leverage if you do it, because we'll come back and renege this whole CBA thing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so this is From Keith Smith, NBA. Per league source, some are pushing the NBA/NBPA to allow players potentially in line for a max contract extension, players like Bam Adebayo, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, etc., to sign that deal prior to the resumption of this current season versus having to wait for the offseason. Now, remember, there's going to be a transaction window where teams are able to sign players to fill roster spots, especially if you get a lot of players that decide not to play. And remember, they have until June 24th to make that decision or report to their teams. Then there's going to be a transaction window where teams can sign players off a waiver, players from the G League, players like Jamal Crawford, J.R. Smith. We talked about that last night. I'm assuming that what they're saying is during this transaction window, they would like to negotiate their contracts and get their extensions out the way. So, and listen, honestly, I have no problem for them asking for that, right? If they can make that happen and get their extensions guaranteed. So in the event that there has to be some kind of breakdown of the CBA or they terminate the CBA and do another CBA, that their contract is guaranteed, is grandfathered in. Another question that I have, like you said, will they enforce this force majeure clause? Maybe there's a lot more steam picking up about players that are not going to participate, right? And if there's a lot of players that don't participate, even if they continue to have the league, those ratings are going to be low, which means the TV is not going to get those same ad dollars. So, yeah, there's a lot that can take place, man. A lot going on here. I don't know how that's going to be. You heard Ian Begley, when talking about the Knicks free agents, say, a lot's going to depend on, if the Knicks waive players. We got those Bobby Portises and Elfrid Paytons and those guys that can be waived by June 28th. And if they're waived by June 28th, the Knicks only have to pay him $1 million if they go past June 28th, if that's still the date. And you would think that might still be the date so that those players can be waived and possibly picked up by playoff teams. So that might still be the date. And, if the Knicks waive those guys, then they're able to sign with a playoff team, and then the Knicks will have, a good amount of money in free agency. We'll see where the Knicks decide to go with free agency. I doubt that it's going to be Carmelo Anthony, though. Big shout out to Michael Roberts. Thank you for the not super chat. Thank you for the popcorn, my friend. I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know. This whole thing is it's weird, man.
I find it interesting, though. Maybe it might be because of ESPN and all these other so-called sorry, I didn't mean to mention, but a lot of these media types are basically putting pressure on the players to come back. Now, the TV stations, I would wonder, wouldn't they put pressure on their personalities to say, to not be so gung-ho about trying to restart the league if they're trying to change the CBA? So I don't know. Maybe it might be more so on the players, maybe more preemptive, but yeah, it's just weird. Like a lot of these sports personalities on TV they're basically on the side of the players, which I guess would have made sense if the TV stations really want to be ultra aggressive on the CBA. But we'll see.
The TV personalities are on the side of, well, of course they're on the side of restarting the league because they need some stories. They need something to talk about.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, let's talk about Steve Stout, man. Because I want to know, what is Steve Stout doing?
Nothing.
Like, what is he doing?
That's your boy. Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not upset about, with the whole James Dolan thing that happened about him not making his statement and all of that kind of stuff. Listen, I wasn't upset that he didn't make a statement. All right, and you guys seen the video that I put out, and we had plenty of discussions about it. Okay. But obviously James Dolan got smeared in the news. He got smeared on Sports Center. He got smeared all over social media by all Knicks fans and everything like that. Where was Steve Stout? Is this or is this not part of his job? We haven't heard from him since he did that interview on ESPN.
Probably for a reason.
Where is he? What? I don't know.
I think some people just find ways to finesse their way into jobs, because I've never seen such an inept exhibit of one skill in doing what you're specifically asked to do within a short amount of time in a public setting. Like, this dude is inept at PR. I don't know what PR he's supposed to be doing. Now, again, we talk about James Dolan stuff with the whole letter stuff. I don't care about it. But if you're playing that, PC PR game, Steve Stout should have been on top of that. Hey, we're going to put out this message and make the people feel this and that, blah, blah. Fair enough. You know what I mean? So again, I don't know what he's doing. All I know is that, and I've watched some stuff from Mike Miller. I really hope this dude comes back to us in some capacity. I still think he's going to be a good head coach. He just needs seasoning. He needs time. I would love for him to sit on whichever coaching staff we choose. But stuff like that can ruin a relationship. That wasn't needed, right? Now, if you did that with Fizdale, because you just know Fizdel's not going to coach. He doesn't need a coach. Even though it's wrong, I'm not as mad. But a guy like Mike Miller, who I think has talent and has some skills as a coach, doing stuff like that, like all this dude Steve Stout has done is really just kind of ruined I won't say totally ruined, but he's kind of messed up any goodwill that we've built with some of these coaches and front office people. Now, thank God Leon Rose is coming in, so he has his cachet. He's bringing in a bunch of guys who are very talented. But a guy like Steve Stout, he's just a guy. You just stay away from what the big boys are doing. Just don't involve yourself. If you need to put out something about you guys donating to some kid charity or whatever, just do that, because he's really inept. I don't think he has any idea how the front office stuff works. I just think he's a guy who can just speak well, I guess, sometimes. But just stay over there with the easy stuff. You know what I mean?
And he shouldn't be dealing anything with the front office, right? He should be all PR. And his first foray into representing the Knicks was a disaster. His job should be to try to paint James Dolan in a good light. Right? His job should be, if he knows that James Dolan is doing whatever charitable events, or has given money to this organization or that organization, or whatever he's done in that manner, right? Anything philanthropic, however you say the word.
No, you're right. Philanthropic.
He should be publicizing it in somehow, some way, some manner. Publicize it. Right? Because that is the biggest issue for the Knicks in regards to their public image, besides not being a good basketball team, is James Dolan. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not you like James Dolan or do not like James Dolan, his image is not good in the public's view, in the public's eye. And that should be Steve Stout's job. We don't need new jerseys. We don't need the floor to be painted whatever colors. You know what I'm saying? We need you to help make James Dolan look good in the public's eye. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And he's not doing that. So I don't even know what he's there for.
Right.
What is he there for? It's just cashing a check. The one thing I'm getting, James Dolan seems to be very gullible. You know what I'm saying? You can sit down and have a meeting with James Dolan. He'll be like, you know what? I like what you're doing. You're my new consultant. That quick, that easy. It seems like you can do that. I mean, that's what happened with Phil Jackson, right? They had a meeting somewhere, and Phil Jackson was talking to James Dolan about, I guess, what a vision would be like for the New York Knicks. He said he wouldn't coach, but bam, right there, James Dolan knew he was going to hire Phil Jackson.
And I don't want to hear about this dude being, because again, Steve Stout is another black guy that has cachet in another field, which is music, and has none in basketball. And I think the thing is, like, people sit here and say James Dolan's this and that. A lot of these people have been on job interviews or been in places where they've met with some of these owners and front offices who give, oh yes, that's great, we like you a lot, blah blah blah, and then don't hire them. James Dolan, if you could get an air with him and sell him a good idea, now, hey, look, you can't, like, people try to say, oh, he's racist. He's given a lot of opportunities, and I'm not saying, obviously, I'm not marrying the two, but a lot of unqualified but black people that he's given a chance to. So I just, the race stuff, unless he comes out and he's explicitly racist, I just can't. I don't want to hear it. Because Steve Stout, let's be honest. Again, he has nothing to do with basketball. Steve Stout, Commissioner Steve Stout, Nas, all that good stuff, Columbia, great. This dude has no experience in basketball. And I think that's one of the reasons why the league doesn't like him, because he doesn't hire. When you look at around the league, a lot of these people that they hire, a lot of these so-called woke people from all these places, they hire a lot of people that you look at and say, well, they follow certain narratives or whatever, but they really don't have that much. And James Dolan does James Dolan is old money. He's not new money. He's not Balmer. He's not some of these so-called woke owners. He's his own man, which if he won, we would like him more. But because he loses, we don't like him. But he represents old money. I do whatever the hell I want. You can't tell me what to do. And that's why people don't like him in the league, for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, let me get to this phone call real quick. Caller, you live on Nothing But Knicks. What's poppin'?
Hey, what's up, Tim?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Carmelo Anthony, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's I don't think it's likely that he'll be a Knick, but I think it all goes to the whole point guard situation. If you get a Chris Paul or another point guard, I think there is a possibility. I just want to put that out there,
Oh, wow. I mean, if you get a Chris Paul.
Yeah. Like, it's not just like you remember when Dwayne Wade, when he was in Cleveland, he got traded to Miami. And then last year, when he first went to Chicago, he signed as a free agent with Chicago. And then he got familiar with Jimmy Butler. And then then the whole Cleveland situation, and then he went back to Miami. So long story short, what I'm trying to say is, if Carmelo comes to New York by himself, that absolutely, it doesn't make no sense, right? But right. He's good friends with Chris Paul, so that could possibly work. And if Damian Lillard gets traded, I don't think it's likely, right? But if he comes to somebody else, and he's I think there's a chance. Maybe we don't know the behind the behind scenes. We don't know if Carmelo's also recruiting. So, and he's a big New Yorker. So it's like, wait a minute. I'm like, I know at heart he loves the Knicks. He's a big fan, and he's always wanted to get New York going. So I don't think Melo will come here by himself, just like that. Like, hey man, I think I deserve to be here, and it's not going to just work like that. And the Knicks are in need of better veterans, So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, and I get what you're saying about with Carmelo, and Chris Paul.
Right.
Even if they brought in Chris Paul, I still don't see okay, I understand how Chris Paul is can be a culture setter and those type of things and a leader for your team. Right. And that position is sorely, sorely, sorely needed, right? At that point guard spot.
Right.
I don't know I think there are so many, for Carmelo Anthony's position, there's so many more younger options.
Well, the thing is,
in the
I'm not
NBA.
going to bring Carmelo. I'm not going to bring Carmelo to be. I want to put this in context, right? I think Taj Gibson has a good reputation, right? So I'm looking at Melo sort of like I am looking at Taj Gibson. He's going to play his minutes. He's going to play it well, and also I think he's going to play to defer to Kevin Knox. I'm not going to have a.
But let me ask you this though.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Carmelo Anthony like you look at Taj Gibson. Does Carmelo Anthony look at Carmelo Anthony like you look at Taj Gibson?
Let me tell you something, man. I think, first of all, to answer that question, does even Kevin Knox look at himself like a star? And I don't think he does. So it's like, wait a minute, that's even a bigger role for Melo because Knox has a confidence issue that you've been talking for a long time, and not just you, but other fans too. So it's like, dude, it's like better for Melo to, better for a star. At least Melo was a star, a superstar, whatever you want to say about him. At least he was there. At least he had some presence to him, and that's why I think he can sort of help. If not him, Coach Tibbs got to do it. Somebody got to do it. You made a big point last time I had a conversation with you when we were talking about Damian Lillard that maybe Knox can get it going. I think the big question, the big reason we're talking about Melo today is because this all has to do with Knox. That is the elephant in the room. How can we help out Knox? Because I think it would be easy to hire a Kenny Atkinson and this, that, and the third, but who has coached well against Kentucky players like Karl Anthony Towns? Coach Tibbs. Also, we have a Julius Randle in there too, who I feel possibly Tibbs could help out Julius Randle and Kevin Knox. So I'm like, you know what? This could all be because there is another report that, I don't know if you read it, but it came out maybe an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago, where Leon Rose is not completely sold on Knox. So I think this is all centered around, it's not just like a Melo wanting to come back. Of course he wants to come back. If it only gets reported if it makes sense for the Knicks. And I think this has to do with how can we help out Knox and how can we help out everybody? Because we're trying to get, RJ's producing, Mitchell Robinson is producing, and how can we help out, Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith, if he's still on the team, if both those other point guards are still on the team, and help out Kevin Knox, who is predicted to be, with John Calipari, a top 10 pick. Did I say that right?
I don't know, man. We'll see. Hey, I appreciate your call, man. Try to see if we can get a couple other calls here before I switch over to Sportscaster.
All right.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Call you live on Nothing But Knicks. What's popping?
How you doing, Slim and Savvy? What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Savvy?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I was just calling in. I heard the topic. Are you still on the topic of Knox?
Of Knox?
Hello?
Well, we haven't even jumped into the topic of Knox yet. Right now, we were still talking about Carmelo and talking about Steve Stout. We haven't jumped into Knox yet. We're about to get there, though.
Okay. I thought I heard something about that. All right. My fault. But as far as a trade like that in the timeline, right, I feel like a player that we should probably look at trying to steal away, if we can, that I feel like would probably match our timeline is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? If we could put something together to try to take him off that team somehow, some way.
Oh,
that would be like an instant solution. I feel like, you feel me? Because think of it this way, right? Dame is a certain age, right? Carmelo's a certain age. There's a lot of players that we would look to get who are certified in their skill set that are a certain age and wouldn't line up timeline-wise. But in the scenario that we don't trade to Chris Paul, and we also do not draft LaMelo Ball, then I feel like we should try to make a run at him and see if that's an even possibility. And I know OKC is not going to want to get rid of him. I know they're not going to want to get rid of him, but listen to me right now. I felt the same way about the Clippers. I thought the same thing about the Clippers. I never thought that they would get rid of him at all, ever. And then a free agent became available, and they wanted that free agent, so they made the trade.
Right, but who would OKC want to give up? Who would OKC want from us to give up SGA?
From us to give up SGA?
Yeah. Who would they want where they'd say, we're going to give up SGA?
Well, this would be at least 2 or 3 years down the line, right? So I see a 2 to 3 year gap where we could potentially get somebody, or somebody could develop into a tradable asset where we could put a package together for that. Because I feel like whatever we can do to just get a good point guard at this point needs to be the thing that we do. Right? And I feel like that guy in his youth and the timeline that he is, because he's already so good, would be good for the next like 7 years straight, at least, right? So
I don't know, man.
I don't know, exactly
man. hey, Savvy, do me a favor.
For a while because I was upset that we didn't get him when he was tradable.
Oh no, Savvy. Okay, see now, I don't think they're giving up. I don't think we have anything that they want. And if you're talking 2 3 years down the line, I don't know. But hey, Savvy, do me a favor. I got it. I'm gonna get to one more call before I switch over entirely to Sportscaster. All right. But I'm interested to hear you do that topic on Sportscaster. I'd like to hear you do a show on that and see what the reaction is.
All right.
All right, man.
All right,
later. All right, I'm gonna get to one more caller, man. Then I'm switching over entirely to Sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. I already put the link in the description of this video, and I'm also putting it here in the YouTube chat. Of course, Knicks Weekly is a Sportscaster show. We just do part of it. Shh, don't tell nobody. We do part of it on YouTube. You know, just because you guys. Anyway, caller, you live, man. What's popping?
Hello, Simeon. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
That's good. So, I just want to talk about Kevin Knox briefly. Like, when he was first drafted by the Knicks, I was really excited because I was thinking maybe I was getting around with the projection, but I thought he was going to be like a former Kentucky Wildcat that grew up in New York, Jamal Mashburn. Thought he had that potential. And, you know, he looked like he was going to be a good player his first year. But the second year, I think he suffered from sophomore jinx. He just got worse. Honestly, I don't know about Knox anymore.
Who did you say now?
Hey, can you say that again?
I didn't get that. Yeah, I'm here. I didn't get that. You said who?
Yeah, Kevin Knox.
Oh yeah, Kevin Knox.
Yeah, I was saying that Kevin Knox, when he first got drafted by the Knicks, I thought he was going to be like Jamal Mashburn. You know, I thought I saw some similarities of him in college, but it hasn't worked out so far in the pros. You know, like the first year he was solid, but the second year he just got worse.
Well, I think with Kevin Knox, man, we're about to get into Kevin Knox, all right? So just hold that thought for just a minute, all right? Hold that thought for just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now switching over to Sportscaster, Charlie on Sportscaster, all right? So please, join me on Sportscaster. The link is in the YouTube description, and it's also in the chat on YouTube. All right, so join me there right now. We're going to continue this conversation on Kevin Knox, article to come out about Kevin Knox and why, one of his old coaches thinks that, he could be maybe moving towards stardom one day. I don't know. And then Alex Klein, a prodigy. You guys know about him. I'm sure you read about him. The Knicks hired a prodigy. So, join me over on Sportscaster. Like I said, the link is in the description of this video. And I also put it in the YouTube chat. And, we're going to continue to talk about Kevin Knox and Alex Klein and a couple other topics that have to do with the New York Knicks and the NBA. All right, so join me over there right now, ladies and gentlemen. Peace, YouTube.